And welcome back to the second highest rated TV show podcast in Italy. I got that. I got that notification this week, guys. So we are killing it in Italy. I don't know.
Buongiorno.
I guess people are scrolling through. They see Cataldi and they're like, all right, we got a Paisan on this. Let's make it happen.
That must be it.
So we're excited to have all our Italian listeners. Thank you so much. This is a TV show podcast. I'm Jay Black. I'm joined every week by Angelo Cataldi and Rhea Hughes. We talk about TV. Before we jump into it, late arrival, this is going to take 2 seconds. I got to tell you about this. Just before the podcast, I found something. It's not a TV show, but I think you're going to be interested in it. You guys remember the old Playboy interviews?
Yeah.
I think the best interviews that may have been done prior to the digital age. They just released a podcast. I'm not getting anything from this. It's an Audible preferred podcast. So if you're an Audible subscriber, you get this. They get actors to play the role of the interviewee, and then they read the interview word for word. They get Michael Shannon to play Tennessee Williams talking his interview in 1970. They get the guy from Goodfellas, the younger brother of Henry Hill in Goodfellas, good actor. His name is escaping me right now. He plays Sinatra in 63. If you love those interviews and you can take them with you in the car, I just found it today. I had to tell people about it. I figured you guys would really like that.
Where is it? How do you find it?
You got to get it on audible.com. Audible is a company that does audiobooks. I am a subscriber. I'm not sure if you can get these with commercials. If you're not a subscriber, you can definitely get it if you're a subscriber. They're about an hour each. And they have Tennessee Williams, they have Frank Sinatra, they have Betty Friedan. It's just amazing. All their archives opened up. If you like that sort of thing, I think you really get a kick out of it. So, really
Jay, I want to just make this statement because I think it's been said before, but I want to say it. I read many of those when I was younger, and that's the only reason I got Playboy.
Yes, of course.
You know, the thing about Playboy, and I just say this, as a subscriber in my college years, yes, there were naked women in there, but it was a great magazine. It really was. I need to express that to people. It was you could see nudity and a great review of a stereo. What more do you want out of life than that? Playboy was fantastic. All right. Without any more diversions, let's skip into, I think, the biggest TV event of this weekend, the thing that everybody's talking about. Chris Rock had his live Netflix special, one of the first and only live events that Netflix has done. And, he made us wait for over an hour before he finally got to the thing that everybody was wanting to hear about, which was the Will Smith discussion. I wanted to know if you guys saw the whole special. If you what were your thoughts on the special? What were your thoughts on his discussion of Will Smith?
Rhea, you start.
Okay, so I watch it, and full disclosure, I am a huge Chris Rock fan. I've seen every one of his specials. I love him. I was very disappointed by this. I will just say, and I will say, it may just be that I'm older, and the use of the N-word so liberally was just like, I knew I could never have it on. Like, I watched most of it right up until my son got home from school. And then I went, well, I can't watch the rest of it. I finished it, when I got home now. That I found that a little disconcerting. There were moments in it I liked. The bit he did on Meghan Markle had great promise.
Yes.
I mean, it was really funny. He goes, it's not racial. You have an in-law problem. And I went, well, absolutely. You're marrying into the royal family. So I thought that was a really funny bit. I found him, and I guess I get it. He's still really angry about what happened last year. And that came through really clear. Like, I remember the bits he did. He did a 15-minute bit on Robitussin one time that I still remember like 20 years later. It was so funny. But getting into abortion, transgender, although the transgender thing with his dad and his brother, I thought was very funny. His comments on the Kardashian, but overall, it wasn't for me from what I expect from Chris Rock.
Yeah, I'm also a huge Chris Rock fan. I watched him a couple of times when he appeared at the Borgata because I got free tickets.
Yes.
I got to tell you something. I have never rooted harder for a comic than I did in the hour special that he did Saturday night, because I hate Will Smith now. I hate what he did. I will never forgive him. And I wanted Chris Rock to take him down. Structurally, guys, it was perfect. He led his routine with one joke on it. He
Yes.
said, you people that think words hurt more than a fist, you've never been punched in the face. It was great. Then he took you through his routine. Rhea, you're right. It was substandard. It wasn't with some big moments. It wasn't that great. But the last 10 minutes when he went back to it, that was highly compelling, because to me, even though it was not near his funniest special that he ever did, he basically told Will Smith and his wife to go to hell.
Yeah.
He not only did he take down Will Smith, constantly calling him a bitch, which I love. Then he basically said, hey, Jada's the one that cheated on you. Why don't you blame her? Why are you funneling your violence through me?
Yeah.
And it was, I thought that it wasn't that funny though. I mean, if he was trying to be funny, but it was
wasn't.
like, screw you, Will Smith. And I applaud him for that. That's why I say the winner was Chris Rock.
I will say, Rhea, you know, when I do comedy, my wife always tells me never say that she's there, because the second I say that she's there, everyone starts looking. Yeah, and they get uncomfortable. And I will say, I always think, well, maybe that's true, maybe that's not. It's 100% true, because the second Chris Rock said his mom was in the audience.
Yeah.
You remember he says at one point, my mom's sitting right over there. And I was like, oh, does she? Oh, don't curse so much, Chris Rock, please. Your mother's there. Which it's silly. He's this 58-year-old man, or however old he is. I'm sure the mother has heard him say those words before. I am far more generous to Chris Rock, I think, than anybody that I've seen online reviewing this, and you guys. 1996, he released a special called Bring the Pain. I talked about it recently in an interview. Bring the Pain. I was 20 when Bring the Pain came out. I still consider it the best hour of stand-up that has ever been laid down by anybody. I know I love Carlin. I love Jerry Seinfeld. I love Richard Pryor. I love Steve Martin. They all are great comics. Bring the Pain, for me, at a very particular time in my life, when I saw that, I was like, that's what I want to do. And I want to be as good as him. I've never been as good as him, but I want to be as good as him. So I watched this through the same eyes that I've watched every Chris Rock special, which is me at 20 going, this is the best comedian I've ever seen. So I really enjoyed the special. I thought the Meghan Markle stuff was really good. When he said that the British monarchy was the Sugar Hill gang of racism. That was a great line.
That was good.
A comedian friend of mine did point out that if you cut out the amount of times he repeated himself, he only did about 20 minutes worth of material, because he kept saying the same thing 3 times. But I do agree with you, Angelo. The structure of this was so well done. He had one other joke where he goes, I don't want to get any other rapper mad at me.
That was good.
I don't need another rapper mad at me, which is great. But when he gets to the Will Smith stuff, I was rooting for him. There's a lot of people online that were criticizing Chris Rock. Now, this is Twitter. Rhea, you've pointed this out. People just go on Twitter and say the opposite of what's going on. Exactly. But I saw a lot of stuff. I don't want to, say anything about the speaking for the Black community. I saw a lot of Black Twitter, though, say that Chris Rock should have forgotten about it, should have moved on, should have not talked about it, which I think
it was at the Oscars. I'm sorry. There's no forgetting it.
No, he never talked about it.
No,
we waited a year for him to address it. He had to talk about it. It's the biggest thing that happened in entertainment in the past calendar year, and he did, and he talked about it aggressively. It's just, if you're analyzing it for humor, it wasn't that funny.
Can you imagine?
Is, Jay, when people tell you to get over things, really what they're saying is, I'd like you to stop being mad at me.
Right.
Yeah.
Not get over it for your own personal gain, which sometimes you have to do. Sometimes you have to just go, I don't care anymore. But when people say get over it, they want you to not be mad at them anymore, and that's all it is.
Right.
I need to make a comment here before I get further, Jay. I don't know if you're seeing yourself in there, but there's like white on your glasses.
Oh,
it's highly distracting. I don't know what the hell's going on.
You know what it is? I'm just I'm sweating here a little bit.
That's
there
fogging.
you go.
It's fogging.
That's way better.
If it happens again here, I'll try to do this a little bit, give some air there. Yeah, if you let me just say this: if you went to a Chris Rock stand-up show and he didn't talk about it, you would feel like you got ripped off. This is the only thing, you know, that's really happening to him that's super compelling. It's like when he got divorced. If he didn't talk about the divorce, it'd be like, well, why am I at this show? We're here to hear about your life. This was everybody on the planet saw it 600 times.
All right, but Jay, there's one other thing here that I mean, you do this for a living, right? He totally screwed up the part where he was alluding to concussion. That emancipation. And all I could think is somebody who, if we did this on a show and I screwed one thing up that way, that's all I would think about.
Oh my God, Angelo, my same thought.
You did? Right?
100%.
Oh, I had all this stuff and I blew it.
100%. You know, he did that all year. He was in his head about it. He probably messed that joke up a couple of times. I'd love to see reviews of his other, you know, lead ups to this to see if he screwed that up. There's no way I would be able to go through my life. I still think of jokes I've muffed on stage.
Yeah, he really, and that was a big muff on live, the first live Netflix event.
Right. Wow. Yeah, there was a couple of moments, you know, even with my love of Chris Rock, that I thought the live did not serve him well. A couple of things where it looked like he was trying to find his thought, or, you know, like I didn't quite hit it, where if he had filmed 2 or 3 of these and edited it together, it would have been better. But
maybe edit in the audience actually laughing, because they didn't appear to be enjoying it that much. And here's an interesting thing. Did you notice he said he was in Baltimore?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you know who is from Baltimore?
Oh,
Jada Pinkett.
Do you think he did that on purpose, Rhea?
It was the first, when he said, hey, I paused it. I go, did he just say Baltimore? Which I thought was very interesting, because that's where she's from.
Rhea, real fast, we've lost your video. I don't know if you...
Okay.
There we go.
You got me back?
Yeah, got you back.
Okay. Sorry about that. Jada Pinkett, I believe, is from Baltimore. So I found that interesting.
Wow, that is interesting. Good one.
Okay. I give it higher marks than Rhea or Angelo, but I will say, if you're interested in it, you could probably do best just to skip to the last 10 minutes and you'll get everything you're looking for.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right. So speaking of the Oscars, people have been wanting us to talk about the Oscars because it is coming up next week. It did used to be a huge cultural event. I can remember being a little kid, even my dad, who was more a sports guy than anything, he would kind of treat it like a big night. We would all get together and watch it. I don't think anybody does that anymore, especially post-pandemic. Remember the pandemic episode of the Oscars where it was like a home video of like they were going to people's houses and stuff? It was brutal. I don't know if it recovers from that. You know, I just saw an interesting article on The Ringer about how to fix the Oscars. You know, I don't know if people really care about it anymore. My question to you is, do you still care about the Oscars? How, and, you know, are you going to watch? And how many of the movies that are up for Best Picture did you actually see?
One. Top Gun. That's it.
That's
and I hated it. That's it. I will, you know, listen, you guys have been doing this with me long enough. I am not into, you know, and this is probably a very sad thing, great art on, you know, in movies. It doesn't do anything for me. So stuff where it's like Angelo said, you know, The Whale was so amazing, but I'd never, ever watch it again. Right. I'll never watch it one time. Like those shows, I like stories. I like, you know, and I obviously I watch a lot of dark stuff, but I've never, ever been anybody who really watches any of the Oscar movies. I watch Top Gun because obviously I love the original, but now I haven't seen a single. I am interested in the Invershees or a Banshee.
Banshees of Inisherin. Yeah.
I may watch that.
You're going to hate it. I promise you, it stinks.
Okay, well, Angelo, if you're telling me it stinks, I'm not going to bother.
Jay, I got to tell you, all right, this is a big moment for me Sunday night, because it's the first time in 34 years I could watch it live.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Normal people hours now. I will start it. I will start it. I will watch the monologue, even though I know Jimmy Kimmel will let me down because he's not Ricky Gervais, who I would love to do every award show. I like that kind of humor.
Right.
But I'll never make it to the end because I don't have a rooting interest in any one of these. I started most of them. All right. I could tell you unequivocally that Sharon stinks, right? Elvis is awful, and I love Elvis.
Right.
And Tar, despite your recommendation, is impossible to get through the first 20 minutes of. Those all are bad. I watched Top Gun. It's a cartoon. Avatar's a cartoon. No interest there. Everything, everywhere, all about whatever. My wife liked it.
I liked it too. Yeah.
I couldn't do it. Triangle of Sadness. Oh, that sounds like a way for me to spend 2 hours.
That sounds.
I love 2 hours in the Triangle of Sadness.
No, I already lived that.
I mean, women talking, nothing against women. I hear them enough. Don't need it. Jay? No, I don't have a horse in this race. The only one I liked at all was the Fabelmans, and I was disappointed in that as well.
Yeah, I will say that the Triangle of Sadness, if you're writing a sketch making fun of like Oscar hopeful movies, that would be the title of one of the movies in the sketch. Should be the Triangle of Sadness. Yeah, I think that the Oscars have a problem that, you know, we've been talking about probably since as long as I can remember, 20 years, where the Academy's tastes run sort of separate to the tastes of the general movie-going populace.
Yeah.
And they opened up the Best Picture race to include blockbusters. And I don't know necessarily if that's helped. I mean, if you think about like 94, when it was Pulp Fiction against Forrest Gump, those were two movies I remember everybody had seen, and we were all curious, okay, which one gets it? 97 with Titanic. Everybody had seen Titanic. We were curious to see how many it would win. I'm not sure if, even with the ubiquity of how available all of these are, you know, 10 is too many. I really do think so. I think all it's done is made it so that people feel like they have seen fewer of the movies than they wanted to see. Yeah, I don't think that there's a lot of cultural cachet left in what's going on. I think we're going to all care tomorrow when it's announced, but nobody's going to really care to watch the way they used to.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to see the best movie of the year, it is currently available on Apple TV, and everyone who has seen it has told me I'm right. It is called Sharper, and it is phenomenal. That is better than any of those 10 movies on that list. I guarantee it.
Real quick question, side note, just to the both of you. Do you find that a movie that goes straight to streaming versus one that doesn't go to theaters or goes to theaters, doesn't a movie that goes to theater feel a little bit more important? Like, don't you want to see it in the theater or no?
Well,
not for me.
It has that cachet, but it's not really true.
No, it's not true.
It's not. Some people still react to it that way. Now, I haven't been in movies in 3 years since the pandemic, right? Have you gone? Maybe.
Well, I go with Clark all the time, and the best movie I've seen recently was the latest Spider-Man movie, which I absolutely loved.
Wow,
that was great.
How about that?
My son is a movie head. He goes to movies once or twice a week. We have the AMC Movie Pass. You pay $26 a month. Again, not sponsored. We should be sponsored. $26 a month. You get to see 3 movies a week.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's the one of the better subscriptions that I have. All right. So well, I'm curious your thoughts on the Oscars. If you're listening, please go to the YouTube channel and let us know what movies you've seen, what you like, what you are rooting for, and whether or not you're going to watch the Oscars. That being said, the part everybody waits for, Rhea Hughes with British Corner. What do you got for us this week, Rhea?
Okay, so what I have it's Operation Mincemeat. It's a movie streaming on Netflix, came out in 2021. I've actually watched it twice, 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's an espionage movie set during World War II. It stars Colin Firth. Now, what it is, it's about a mission in which it was designed to trick Hitler that the Allied forces were going to invade Greece and not Spain. The plan was to get a corpse, dress it up as a military guy, plant classified information that was not classified, it was fake, and but it had to create a person. So letters from a fake fiance, pictures. Most of the movie centers around creating this false narrative around this corpse, which at times is very sad sometimes and sometimes very funny. There's a real poignant moment at the end of the movie that deals with the corpse that they actually used. It was from, I guess, what you would consider a vagrant is what they went to the morgue and got. Here's where I saw the best review of this. Roger Ebert said it's imagine Weekend at Bernie's set amongst World War II intrigue. And I thought that really summed it up perfectly. Here's the crazy part, which I think you guys are probably fans of. So the film is narrated during different parts by a really terrific actor, Johnny Flynn. He is playing Ian Fleming, who's one of the intelligence officers involved in Operation Mincemeat. Of course, you guys know who Ian Fleming is, created the James Bond character. Here's the cool thing. A couple years before Operation Mincemeat, he had devised a plan to keep Spain out of World War II, and it was shelved, but the name of it was Operation Goldeneye, which of course became probably one of the best James Bond movies, and also the name of his home in Jamaica, which I've been to. So that was a really cool aspect of it. I did not realize. I mean, I kind of knew a little of the background of Ian Fleming, but I didn't realize he was really all that James Bond stuff came from him being an intelligence officer during World War II.
I love that this movie exists. I read the book. The book came out, I guess, in the late 2000, like 2008, 2009. And I remember reading it going, oh, this will make a great movie. And now it's just 10 years later they made it. Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah. So I really recommend it. Like I said, 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. Colin Firth is terrific in it. He's the lead guy. There's a little romance. There's a little, two guys going against each other, but I loved it. When they're trying to create this person who's the corpse, it's really awesome.
I hope that if there is another war and I get drafted in it, that my job, because of my background as a Lifetime writer, will be to come up with corpse backstories. That's what I'm hoping would be my job. Although I might be a little bit over dramatic with it. Very nice. Oh, by the way, you know what, Ian Fleming's description of what James Bond liked to eat was his dinner, a steak, rare, with a glass of whiskey neat and a cup of coffee, which does not sound bad to me. I'll be honest with you. That sounds like a pretty good meal. Teen Corner, what do you got for us this week, Rhea?
I have a great one, and it's new, and I will tell you how much my son loved it. He cackled out loud so many times we had to pause the movie. That's how much he loved it.
Wow.
And I enjoyed it. It's new on Netflix. It's called We Have a Ghost. Super fun. Now, the critics didn't like it. They gave it 43%, but the audience rating was 65%. It's somewhat of a used theme. Family moves into a haunted house where the ghost is chased out. Every other family has tried to move into it. The difference in this family of four, it's a mother, father, two sons. The one son looks like, I want to say 17, 18. The other son played terrifically by, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's Jahai Diallo Winston. He's not afraid of the ghost at all. In fact, he's so unafraid of the ghost, he takes out his phone and he films it. It winds up becoming viral.
Wow.
People start coming to the house. It turns out this ghost is stuck there. He goes by the name of Ernest. The CIA gets involved. That's a stupid part of it. But because it goes so viral, they start doing this, Ghost Lives Matter. And they're trying to do, it's great. They're trying to, the thing that made Clark laugh the most is, a ghost can go through walls. So all these people who are online following what's going on with Ernest start trying to run through walls and slamming themselves into brick walls and knocking themselves out. That apparently is very high humor to a 13-year-old because he died laughing. But here's what I will say. The one thing I thought they did it wrong in the movie. The ghost could not speak. So, and it's played by David Harbour, who did a really good job with it being unable to speak. He was able to convey very much through his facial expressions. But what it turns out is the kid, his name's Kevin in the movie. He says, "You're stuck here." And he goes, "All right, I got to find out how you were killed." So it turns into a murder mystery, which I really liked. Clark really liked. And it was, all I have to say is my son's He gave it an 8 out of 10, which I said, well, I've never heard you laugh so hard. You only gave it an 8 out of 10, but we both loved it together. So
Excellent.
it's a new movie on Netflix. I think it's up to number 3 in the country on Netflix, but you got teenagers. It was a lot of fun. We enjoyed it.
Rhea, just to be clear, does David Harbour talk at all in the movie?
No, he never speaks in it. And like in the beginning, I thought, boy, if he could talk, but by the end of the movie, I went, you know what? It worked that he was only able to communicate with this kid, Kevin, by his expressions.
Right.
And it wound up, I will say, I didn't like it in the beginning because I thought this could be really funny if, because the movie's part comedy, part a little drama. But it actually by the end of the movie, I went, okay, it worked a little bit. But I thought if you would have been able to talk, it would have been better.
Okay, that's interesting. Maybe David Harbour said, "I'll do the movie, but I don't want to memorize a lot of lines."
No talking,
like,
but it was a lot. It was a lot of fun.
All right, Angela, what do you have for us this week?
I got 2 great things this week. One loved by the critics and one hated by them. The one that is loved by them is a documentary that is on Hulu, and it is so bizarre. I like bizarre people because I am bizarre.
Yes.
And it is the story. It is called Fire of Love. It is a documentary of these 2 wackos, a couple who shared an incredible love for volcanoes, preferably when they erupt. All right. And you know how people nowadays, you got these things they call storm chasers,
Right.
Guys, they hear there's a tornado, they fly to the tornado site to see how close they get. These people, this is the 60s and 70s. These people, whenever there was the sign of an eruption, they were there for Mount St. Helens. They rushed to the scene with cameras and get the most incredible video up close of volcanoes ever recorded in history. It is so spectacular. The flowing red lava just before it hits something. It's phenomenal stuff. The thing was, they did this knowing that eventually their luck would end.
Sure.
And I'm not going to give you what happens, but you could probably
that doesn't sound promising.
But even before their untimely demise, they were they were bonded in love for volcanoes. And these people, when you see these people, you think I'm a nerd. I'm John Wayne compared to people. You got to see this.
I'm so concerned about your early retirement that you're watching movies
Rhea,
about
don't
volcanoes.
judge me. I did the same stuff before. And on Amazon Prime, and this is not considered good by the by the critics, but I am dying to see more of it. It's called Daisy Jones and the Six. It is.
Oh my God, I see it pop up all the time. I didn't know what it was about.
My wife had read the book. It was a very popular book about how a rock band in the 70s came together, became incredibly successful, and then at their peak of success, disbanded.
Wow.
It's the inside story of how this Daisy Jones, not to be confused with Daisy Edgar Jones, how Daisy Jones ended up in the band and took them to heights they never imagined. The other main character is Sam Claflin. He plays the other big singer, rock star who gets loaded on drugs and stuff. Riley Keough is the breakout star in this.
Elvis's granddaughter?
Elvis's granddaughter.
Wow.
Now, I knew her from the Girlfriend Experience that I'm not proud that I watched a lot, but I did not know she could sing. She really can sing. And in this, she does a lot of it, and she's great. Riley Keough's the breakout star, but here's what we did. So we're watching it last night, and we're just going nuts. We're binging. We fly through the first 3 episodes. I'm going, you in? You want more? I'm saying this to my wife. Now, Rhea, it's almost 10 o'clock.
Oh, my God.
And I go, you want more? And my wife says, yeah, definitely more. Boom, out. They give you a preview of what's next, and they say, wait till Friday for the episode. Daisy Jones and the Six, well worth your time.
Okay.
I'll say this. I love the fact that you and your wife treat TV the same way that other couple treated volcanoes. You're looking at each other and you say, "Where are you in? Let's make it happen."
All right, let me just say with that, with sex comes up, that is not always the answer.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Give me more.
Hey, I want to do a little follow-up, Angelo, on your recommendation. I watched the Murdaugh murders on Netflix last week, and it was fascinating. I really enjoyed it. If you get a chance, just to double down on what Angelo said, even if you know the outline of the trial from what you've seen, watching it unfold and the way it unfolds is amazing. So documentary there is well worth your time as well. All right, you want to do a recap? What did we go this week?
Please do. Jay started us today on audible.com with the podcast, the Playboy interview with actual stars doing the interviews. It sounded fantastic. Can't wait to check that out. We also had, let's see, you can watch the Chris Rock Netflix special. It is #1 right now on Netflix. And the last 10 minutes are compelling because he really goes after Will Smith and Jada Pinkett. And also we have from Rhea, we also had, hold on for a second here. We Have a Ghost on Netflix. That's her thing for the teen segment.
Yep.
And Operation Mincemeat on Netflix is also something she highly recommends in the British corner. I will tell you that I also like Daisy Jones and the Six on Amazon Prime. And I also highly recommend Fire of Love on Hulu. They call them volcanologists.
Of course they do.
And all of you see Sharper on Apple TV because it's better than anything at the Oscars.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. If you like our show, please come rate us, review us, give us a comment on YouTube or on a podcast. This week, by the way, if you want to see me come do stand up, I'm going to be at the Comedy Cabaret in Bucks County, PA. Come see me live. See if all this sweat is real. You can get up close and see. And here's what I'm going to say: special for just our podcast audience. If you come up to me and say you heard about the show on the podcast, I will give you a free CD of my stand-up.
Nice.
So only if you are a podcast listener, though. If you're not, you can't have one. So thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you next week, and we will be back with the TV show later on.
Italian viewers, ciao.